So I'm starting this video in no particular order. This just happens to be the way I netted the fry out. So this is our first dude. I like the head on this guy. I think that he could support a lot of wind growth, and I like his fins. The body is really long, and he is quite chubby, so I always like chubby fry. Also, if you're noticing, there is steamed egg in there. That's what they're eating. This was right after morning feeding, and when I netted them out, I brought some egg with them. So that's kind of what I like with this guy. He may be a keeper for me. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided, except there is one in particular that I know I'm keeping, but I haven't chose my second pick yet. So on to the next. This is number 2. I probably won't keep this guy. The 2 that I will keep will be for future breeding. So in order to keep my line going, I need to pick the best ones, and for me, he's just not the best one. If you take a good look at him, he's got a longer body, even more so than the last one, and he's just a long, thinner body, and I don't like that, especially with Arandas. He does have a good head. He could support some wind growth. He would be a really nice fish, I'm sure, but for my breeding purpose, he will not be one of my keepers. He is, however, a very vigorous eater, which I find funny. He makes me laugh a lot, but as far as fins and all that, they're fine, but he's just not one of my favorites. Number 3 is a possible keeper. I really like the tail on this guy. I think it's going to be nice and flowy and large. This one has more of a thick body, and he's nice and round, and I like that for Arandas. Especially with it being Night's fry, I'm looking for the ones that take back the most from Night, and he's got some Night qualities. So I like this one. I'm not sure if I'll keep it. I'm maxing out at 3 that I'll keep, more like 2 just because of space, but it's possible. He does have a nice head. He would support a lot of wind growth, and anybody that has seen Night, their dad, he has a lot of wind growth, so I think he will end up looking a lot like Night. Number 4 probably won't be one of my keepers. I'm not as fond with this guy's tail. It doesn't have the angle that I'm looking for, really. The body of this guy is fine. I don't really care so much about that, but the tail, it's not one of my favorites. He does have a nice head like the other ones, but the tail really is the factor for me. I'm just not fond of it. It's a shorter tail than what I would like to see with an Aranda, because their head can get so big, especially with my line. They need to have a good tail to support them. So this one may not be my favorite. I'll probably end up selling this one just for that reason. So number 5 is the one that I have trouble with, and first of all, I don't like his overall shape. I don't like the tail. The tail ruined it for me, and he managed to escape culling somehow, because if I would have seen this before, it would have got culled. But he's so spunky, and he has so much personality. I could not bear to cull him this late in the game. The fry are officially 2 months old, and I do all of my culling by the time they're 4 weeks old. When they get older, it's just so much more hard to cull. And this guy, I really want him to go to a good home, but he's definitely not going to be in my breeding program. So number 6 is my winner. This is the guy that I will definitely be keeping for future breeding. This guy reminds me so much of his dad. It's ridiculous. His head, the angle of the head, everything is perfect for wind growth, and his daddy has a lot of that. The tail is what I was looking for. It's big and flowy, and that's very much like his dad. And that's kind of what helps them support the weight of the head. So, this one is my first pick. Like I said, I haven't picked another one, but this one will definitely be staying in the family so that I can breed with it. Number 7 is a possible keeper. I like the head on this guy and the tail. The tail is not as long and flowy as the previous one, but it's still a nice tail. And he's got the rounded body that I really like, especially for Mirandas. And as far as this one goes, it's possible keeper, like I said, but I haven't made a decision yet. We'll just have to see. It's hard, especially when they're this young. When they start getting bigger and they color up and all that, I'll be able to definitely say which one I'm going to keep and which one I'm not. Like I said, they're just 2 months old, so they've got a lot more growing to do. Number 8 is another possible keeper. It's very similar to the one before this, and it has a bigger flowy tail. If you saw in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I lost one of the fry last night, and because of this dude and the one prior to this one, they decided to pick on this little fish. It was a runt. Actually, this one and the one before it and the next ones you're going to see were all runts. They were in a tub by themselves because I was trying to grow them out. This one and the one before really gained weight, perked up. Unfortunately, I didn't move them in time. I usually move them to the bigger tub when they start getting bigger, and unfortunately I missed it, and they ended up picking on one of them, and unfortunately I didn't make it. So I'm down to 10, but that's alright. So this is one of the smallest ones, and it has a long body, and I don't like it. It will definitely not be one of my keepers. If you notice, I don't like the tail. The tail doesn't have a good angle in it. It's also a little bit beat up. Thankfully, the other two didn't kill this one or the next one. They just got the other little one, and that's okay. It happens. It's my fault. I should have moved the other bigger ones, but it slipped through the cracks, unfortunately. With it being finals week, I just totally forgot about it. But they should heal up and they should be fine. I think these guys will end up looking more like a common goldfish. I'm not really sure, but we'll see how they turn out. So number 10 is very similar to the last one. However, this one didn't get as beat up as the previous one did. It's still smaller than I'd like. The head's okay. The tail's okay. It's just not one of my favorite ones. I don't like the long body on this one. The long skinny bodies I'm just not fond of. So these will be sold off as pets, and we'll see how that goes. They could get bigger. They've been growing quite a bit the past week and a half or so, and I honestly wasn't expecting them to as runts, but they are, so we'll just have to see how it goes.